Hi guys, it's 12:08 on September 9th, 12:08 p.m. on September 9th, and I'm still trying to find Hurricane Irma on radar. If you haven't watched my other videos, my earlier videos, I'll just give you a recap here. I don't know, 36 hours ago, I noticed that the satellite image from NASA, which comes from one source, which is the GOES satellite, was showing this hurricane spinning around the Caribbean. And when I went to go look on the national radar and telecast and what's it called here, weather.gov, weather.com, all these different radar, which is on the ground, I wasn't seeing the image of this hurricane. So I started doing some investigation and actually taking real-time data and capturing them in my videos to show that although the news and NASA was reporting that there was a hurricane going 150 miles an hour in the Bahamas and in the Dominican Republic and stuff like that, what was actually being recorded on radar wasn't showing that. It wasn't showing it. So let me just give you here, I'll just play a little bit of one of my earlier clips so you can see what I was pointing out here. Of NASA GOES satellite. And, you can see that this hurricane is now passing through these islands here over to the north of Cuba, but the storm itself should be at least visible on some of the radar parts that would show up on this peninsula, and I think it's Bahamas, I'm not exactly sure, but the eye of the storm is definitely, it's passed over Dominican Republic, well past these, because we do see these little storms here in Puerto Rico, outside the Dominican Republic. We see the storms in Havana Island, so there should be a huge hurricane just blitzing right through here right now. Let's see. Okay. So what I was showing was that the ground radar, which is the actual instruments by which we fly our airplanes, was not matching the satellite image, which is just a picture from outer space. So my older videos over this last 36 hours actually go to check on the land speeds of this supposed hurricane. And I say supposed hurricane because you guys go through my other videos, you will see there was no hurricane here. And now I just turned on my update to do this video and I'm freaking out. I'm actually pretty much shaking because this hurricane was not there. What we had over the last few days, and I will show you this from another video, we had some of this, this was from yesterday. We had the storm coming from the Bahamas right here. All these clouds were just coming from the Bahamas and shooting into Cuba. And as I go on and I document this, I show you that the land speeds, the wind speeds of what was happening here were significantly different than this. This is 150 mile an hour winds hitting Cuba. It should have annihilated Cuba, and all we were getting readings for in Havana at this particular video I did was, you'll see Veradero, Cuba, you'll see it was only 29 miles an hour, which was in complete contrast to the satellite image. But now the radar image is starting to look a lot like the satellite image. And that's what I'm going to be updating for you right now. Let's just go through and take a look at this, what we have on national radar. And like I said, this is a mosaic of thousands of radars that are feeding in to give us this image, which is clearly now starting to look like a hurricane. It did not before, and I urge you to go through my other videos to see what the cause of my concern was. But let's take a peek here today. Let's just play this through and see if my computer will let me do this. This is the image for the last 3 hours as the storm has just become a storm. It was not a storm yesterday. There was no storm here, but now we have a storm, and that's what's of great concern to me, is that I have been documenting this, and the storm has materialized from this particular little area of NASA, okay? Now let's look at the wind speeds. The wind speeds here are now 20 miles an hour in Cayo Coco, Cuba. Well, that is wildly inconsistent with this. The land speeds of the wind speeds on the land in Cuba should be around 100 miles an hour, even 50 miles an hour. But they're nowhere close to hurricane speeds, but we do have this actually happening now. This wasn't happening yesterday. Let's go to Havana and see what the weather is in Havana, which is how I've been documenting this. These wind speeds are only 25 miles an hour. Let's go to Veradero. Veradero, Cuba is 25 miles an hour. So if this is the eye of a hurricane that's going 150 miles an hour, we should at least be able to see some of the speeds of these winds. I'm not denying that there is not a swirling thing now that looks like a hurricane. It does. It's what it looks like. Let's see. It's going to be around Santa Clara. The winds are only 25 miles an hour. Okay, but there's obviously something here. This totally freaks me out because there wasn't anything here. Although the entire time we've had this image showing us that this is here. Now there's something here, but it's still not this 150 mile an hour hurricane. So something very screwed up is happening here. And okay, I'm just going to try and settle down and show you why this is so important. Or you guys are just going to have to figure this out, I guess, on your own. I'm just going to do what I've been doing, which is document the wind speeds, document the radar, and try and show you guys what we have on actual radar. Because the radar is what we measure all of our real-time weather with on the ground. And for the first time ever that I've ever watched the news or ever watched the weather, NASA's image has not matched the radar. And that's what I'm trying to document, is that the radar has not until last night, until early this morning, around 4 o'clock this morning. This hurricane was not there. This is so important. Okay, so in Cayo Coco, Cuba, we have 20 mile an hour winds. Okay, that's right here. That's not an eye of a hurricane. Let's take a peek at what we have going on in Nassau, or Androstown, Bahamas. Androstown, Bahamas, which should technically be in the middle of this whole slew of a huge hurricane right here. In Androstown, Bahamas, we still have winds. Oh shoot, that is it? No. In Androstown, Bahamas, we only have winds of 20 miles an hour, although we do now see a hurricane. At least what looks like a hurricane, a shape of something like a hurricane. Let's go here. I don't know if this is still going to be Androstown or not, but we'll take a peek and see. Androstown, Bahamas. Okay, let's zoom out here and take a capture of the data down here at Georgetown. Let's go to Georgetown, Bahamas. Georgetown, Bahamas, the winds are still 20 miles an hour. The wind direction is at 90%. One thing I noticed yesterday was that in, I think, Veradero, the winds were at 360 degrees. I meant wind direction of 90 degrees, not percent. But yeah, yesterday in Veradero, Cuba, the winds were 360 degrees, which was very strange. They weren't going very fast, but that's what they were. So let's back up here and take a couple of more captures of the data. Let's see. What do we have going on here? Let's hit Miami. Let's take a peek at the wind speeds in Miami. This one's a little bit harder to click on. Miami, for some reason, this map does not want to give me immediate. Okay, well, we'll go to Bimini, Bahamas. The wind speed there is 23 miles an hour. That's right here. Let's see if I take it towards the center of the state, if more towards the center, if it'll give me a reading for Miami. Not yet. Let's see. Biscayne Bay National Park, Florida. There is no wind speed recorded at 11:58 a.m. Let's see if we can get to Miami. I want to go to Miami. Let's see if we can get there. Key Biscayne, very close, no cigar. All right, we're at 20 miles an hour. Let's just kind of scroll in a little bit deeper if we can and just get some wind speeds in Miami. Key Biscayne. Click Miami. Can we get Miami? Brickell, Florida, 20 miles an hour. Can we get Miami? This is what happened yesterday. It gave me everything around it, but probably tons of subdivisions of Miami. Brickell, Florida. I know you guys who are familiar with this are screaming to do something different on my screen. I just don't know exactly how to get to Miami so quickly. But it does actually give me this downtown Miami wind speeds if I click on it 100 times. There we go. 20 miles an hour winds going at 70 degrees. Dew point at 77%. Feels like it's 87 degrees, but it feels like it's 99 instead. Very humid. Humidity's at 70%. Let's just read the weather view for today. It says today, tropical storm conditions likely. Windy, scattered thunderstorms during the morning, becoming more widespread this afternoon. A high of 86, east-northeast winds at 20 to 30 miles an hour, increasing to 40 to 60 miles per hour. Chance of rain is 80%. Tonight, hurricane conditions likely. Windy with periods of rain that will be accompanied by heavy downpours and strong wind gusts at times. A low of 83 Fahrenheit with eastern winds at 40 to 60 miles per hour, increasing to 60 to 80 miles per hour. Chance of rain is 100%, 2 to 3 inches of rain expected. Now we are actually seeing on radar, and the overcast, both predictions and physical readings that are showing an actual storm. We're not getting the wind speeds though. We are not getting the actual, we're not getting 150 mile an hour winds. And I'm going to go through here one more time and redocument this because we still have this huge discrepancy between what NASA is reporting and has been reporting for 7 days about the storm and what I'm actually able to, as just somebody who's using a local wind speed feed. I want to show you that we are not documenting 150 mile an hour winds yet anywhere. I hate to say this, and this is what makes me want to cry, is that we will, and this hurricane has not been here for 2 days that I've been monitoring this. The shape, the spin came around last night, but let's go to a Cuban radar and look and see what it looks like there. We're going to take a peek at the Cuban radar. This link was given to me by Kafka Winston's YouTube channel. See? You see that there is something that finally starts to look like a hurricane. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to see a hurricane anywhere on these maps. I actually don't even want to be looking at these maps. But I don't want to see a hurricane on Cuba. I don't want to see a hurricane anywhere. But because we have been inundated with this image, and it hasn't matched these yet, it hasn't matched this stuff yet until now. I've been documenting this. So here we go. This is what it looks like in Cuba. But as we see this, I want you guys to also notice these incredibly strange pulses that we have going on. I don't know what the hell is going on. If this is just a regular swirling storm, it shouldn't break into like shards of this. This is just not right. So there's a tremendous amount of energy being pushed into this atmosphere here, and I'll let some other analyst analyze why this is not consistent with this. You know, why these winds are supposed to be going 100 to 150 miles an hour, and we're just not seeing them. So let me just document that. We're not seeing those winds, and okay, so let's go back down to Cuba here where we should be seeing the eye of the hurricane just annihilate this place. This is supposedly the eye of the hurricane that they're showing us. This is a circular storm with a center in it. There's definitely something swirling around here. I'm not saying that it's not there. I definitely see it now. It's definitely there. It wasn't before. But in Cayo Coco, Cuba, these wind speeds right here, which should be right outside the eye of the hurricane, are only 20 miles an hour. Something is going to get this storm up to a Category 3, and Category 3 is not 20 miles an hour. Let's go to Santa Clara, which should be just being really picking up some wind speeds here. Santa Clara, Cuba is only 25 miles an hour wind speeds. Let's go here if there's a difference. I don't. Okay, now we are right in the eye of the hurricane, and it's giving us Santa Clara, so it's same reading, same place, 25 miles an hour. And the wind's direction, notice this, the wind direction is 350 degrees. So it's pretty much almost spinning in a full circle. Okay, so there's definitely something spinning around there, but the wind speeds are only 25 miles an hour. So we're right there. We're right in the eye of the supposed hurricane, which is only going 25 miles an hour. And it wasn't there yesterday. It wasn't there yesterday, although NASA reported that it was there. This has been there for several days. It's only gone from the Dominican Republic to here in over 36 hours. This thing is going super slow on NASA's radar, but now, or NASA's satellite. But now we're starting to see this thing become a hurricane, and it just wasn't there before. So let's get some more wind speed, because I want to show you guys that there's nothing going 150 miles an hour in the Caribbean right now. Let's zoom in here on Veradero like I did a few minutes ago. As of 9:52 a.m., the wind speeds in Veradero, Cuba were 25 miles an hour with the wind direction at 350 degrees, which means it's definitely spinning in circles, but it's only going 25 miles an hour. Let's go over to the Bahamas to see if we have any greater speeds of wind. Here we have, no, that's still parts of Cuba. It's picking up on that one. But the wind direction in Cayo, Coco, Cuba was going only 70 degrees. Here we have Androstown, Bahamas at 20 miles an hour, wind direction at 90 degrees. Let's pick another spot here. Let's maybe go up to Nassau Island of the Bahamas, which is where these clouds seem to be coming from. At least they were coming from here yesterday. Still Androstown. It's not a very precise mouse reader, so hang in there with me now, guys. I have to click. This is like Miami. I have to click it a bunch of times to get there, and this is opposed on every side. Okay, Nassau, the Bahamas. The wind speed is only 20 miles an hour, going at 90 degrees. All right, so I should be able to pick up 150 or 100 mile or even 50 or 60 mile an hour winds. I'm not picking that up. Let's go to, where else can I get a land reader? Wind speeds. We just did Androstown. Let's try Cat Island. See if maybe this is where they're finding the 150 mile an hour winds. Wind speeds at Governor's Harbor. Let's see, where's Governor's Harbor? I think Governor's Harbor is up to the north here a little bit. Let me see if I can get Cat Island. Governor's Harbor, by the way, is only 20 miles an hour at 90 degree direction. Cat Island, 20 miles an hour, 90 degree direction. Okay, so we're seeing that the maximum speeds that are being recorded here on the land, as those land instruments are feeding into Intellicast. And those land wind speeds, which are accurate, because if we go to Miami, we will see that the news is reporting that the wind speeds in Miami are what I just gave you. Let's go to Key Largo. See, this is what's so troubling. This looks like a hurricane now, only it's only going 20 miles an hour. It wasn't there yesterday. Oh, gosh, this is very frustrating and scary. Okay, so Tavernier, Florida, I don't know how to pronounce that, is not giving any readings as of 11:58. Let's see what we get here from Isla Morada, 29 miles an hour, wind direction 50 degrees. Let's go down here into the Keys a little deeper, lower, southern, see what we come up with. Let me give us Big Pine. Okay, Grassy Key, 29 miles an hour, wind direction at 50 degrees. Raccoon Key, Florida, 29 miles an hour. So you'll see that this is consistent with what's being reported on the news. Finally, these things are starting to match. Unfortunately, okay, Raccoon Key. Raccoon Key still same. Let's see if it's going to take me to Key West. I don't know why this thing is not. Maybe that is Raccoon Key. I don't know where the heck Raccoon Key is. Sorry, guys, I don't know my keys. I can't see me there. Okay, let's see. Key West. Key West, Florida, finally. There we go. 29 miles an hour, wind direction at 30 degrees. So now I have shown you that all across the Caribbean right now, we do not find wind speeds of 100 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour or 50 miles an hour. Yet NASA is still showing us that this hurricane has been pummeling Cuba now for, gosh, Cuba should be annihilated. It really should. Based on the images that we're getting from outer space, this thing should be, Cuba should just be gone. But as I've shown you over the last 24 hours, the wind speeds in Havana and Veradero and Cayo Coco have all been in the teens, you know, and even last night at 8 miles an hour, right when this hurricane is supposed to be hitting them. So we still have great discrepancies between what we're getting registered on the ground, on the radar. We have great discrepancies between what NASA is reporting and what the radar is picking up. And again, my entire purpose of doing this is just to document what the news is not showing you. The news is not showing you the radar in these other places. They are going solely off of NASA's imagery, and they keep reporting these outrageous wind speeds that we are not able to document. And I haven't been able to document. I haven't even been able to document the shape of a storm similar to this. And this is critical. Only now, only since this morning, have we been able to see anything that looks like a hurricane on the radar. This is very, very, very significant information I'm giving you people. I can't tell you what it means, but I can tell you that for the last 36 hours, I have been documenting the fact that there was no hurricane here. And this came out of NASA Bahamas last night and yesterday. And you can see that. I've got it documented. You can see it here now. This is very creepy, very bad stuff, people. This hurricane was not on radar yesterday. And now it suddenly is, and the wind speeds don't match. And this is a very big problem. I don't even know what else to say to you people. I'll keep documenting this as best as I can. I have a long trip to drive today. I will do it when I have a chance to stop. But here we go, guys. This really, we need to start questioning what the hell is going on here. Why don't we have hurricane speed winds in Cuba? This is supposed to be the eye of 150 mile an hour. Although it looks like it was downgraded to a category 3, so that's still 130 mile an hour, 120 mile an hour, even 100 mile an hour, guys. We are not even seeing, you know, speeds greater than 25 miles an hour. And although we see the shape now, we see the shape taking place. And this is why when I turned on this map today, my first words were, holy shit.